All right, Wild Child. So my first question is, how have you been?
I've been blessed. I like to say blessed and highly favored because I've been really getting to the habit of just understanding and appreciating that my first blessing of the day is just life. So
Mm,
just waking up and being alive is a blessing. So blessed and
mhm.
highly favored.
Yeah.
How
So
are you?
thank you for asking. Now, I've been good. I'm a realtor. I don't know if I told you, but I just closed on a house, so that's good. I was dealing with a scammer, but that's pretty much over now. You told me a few days ago that you were working on a book, that you finished a book. Do you want to talk about the book?
Yes, actually, give me 1 second. I actually forgot to grab them. So I'll give me one. So, yes, I actually just finished working on this book right here called The Album.
Hmm.
And that one's the
Name.
second of two books that I have published. This one's the first, Soul Secrets, and then this one's the second. And I will say that publishing my second book, it went very well. Because when I was going back through my notes, I actually realized that I did everything a year early than the goals that I had set out for myself. So I'm
Oh,
actually
wow.
really proud of myself for that because I didn't even
Amazing.
realize it. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So now I'm doing the hard part. Now that it's out, now I'm doing the hard part and like talking about it and getting people to the whole promotion thing. But um, I feel like for me the hard part about promoting my book is because I don't really want to promote the book. I really want to promote the message and the meaning and the purpose behind the book. You know, because I named it the album because for me as a creator, again, I'm in this space in my life right now where I am very grateful for life, and so I try to do as much as I can to honor God. I'm not religious; I'm spiritual. So when I say God, I believe God to be not a man in the sky, but I do believe that God is love. God, wants us to. God is just the way that we treat ourselves and each other because if we say that we are children of God, I'm also a parent, and my favorite analogy to talk about God with people is children of God. So if we do say that we're children of God,
Hmm.
one of the best ways we can honor God is by honoring the life that God gave us and the ability to create. Because God didn't just put us on this world to work, God put us on this world to create.
Hmm.
And that's why we have artists, poets, that's why we have chefs, dancers. Like creating isn't just I make paintings, I make sculptures, I dance. It's literally like and I had to explain this to one of the social workers at my daytime job, who's a social worker. I told her, I was like, you are a creator in your own right, and you honor God by creating a safe space for the people that you take care of at our job. Like, that's not what you do is not easy.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's important because I work in a nursing home. I work in a nursing home. So when people drop their loved ones off, they're trusting us to take care of them. And our social workers literally create the environment for not only the our residents to feel safe, but their family members.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you said you work at a nursing home. I one of my first mental health podcasts. I had a guest who also worked at a nursing home, and she was telling me that a lot of the older people, they're just so tired that they want to go. They want to go.
Yes.
They're just so tired of life, so tired of suffering, tired of pain. Their loved ones are dead. They just want to go. Is
Yeah.
have you seen that?
Yes, I do a lot. I actually work on the dementia floor. So it's for me, I do see that, but it's not so that they're more so tired and that they don't see their family suffering. They're more so tired of being and again, I work on the dementia floor. So from what I see, they're more so tired of being stuck in this space up here mentally when their body is somewhere else entirely. And you
Mhm.
for me it's like I see that, and that's one of the things that breaks my heart the most is because it's like they're back in like their mid 20s, early 30s, their married life, dealing with, and some of them still think their parents are alive. Like I
Wow.
actually had a resident today tell me that um he's basically as old as his mom was when his mom passed. And I was just like, it's really crazy and so heartbreaking because it's like those were one of the few moments that he was here and not there. And it's just like, as their caregiver, it's hard for me because it's like, how do I find the humble balance between taking care of them in the present moment while also showing them kindness and without, I guess, pulling them from where they are mentally, because that can also be very traumatic and very hard on them, you know? So that's one of the things that I've been working on and that I see a lot is the separation between here, then, and now.
So I'm sensing a little bit of delusion, maybe.
Oh, definitely. They all have dementia. Definitely delusional.
And I'm wondering, is that delusion a good thing? Like, is that like there's a part of me that wants to just say like let them be delusional, or is that like what do you think? Do you think that that's a good thing or no?
It depends. It literally depends on the person, on what the delusion is.
Hmm.
So like a lot of the times the delusion tends to be, again, me being in a nursing home, is a lot of their caregivers, a lot of family members like wives, children, husbands, sisters, brothers, a lot of them think that they need to either go visit them or that they're coming to visit them in the nursing home.
Mhm.
So with those moments of delusion,
Let it rock.
I let it rock because it's not going to harm
Yeah.
anyone, and it still provides them the comfort, at least in their mind, the comfort that they still have their loved ones around. Whether or not they're going to come is a whole other situation, but that's one of those where another instance where I really don't let the delusion um really I really try to steer clear. Right now I actually have a resident who is currently, he thinks he's in high school and he wants to meet his guidance counselor.
Wow.
And so our facility actually has a couple floors. And so he, for the last several days, he's been trying to go downstairs to leave so he can go meet his guidance counselor. So that's one of those things where I've been trying to figure out how to navigate him out of that, because now that falls into him. The term we use is elopement. He would now, he's an elopement risk. He can literally leave the facility, and that's not good for him, nor our facility, but mostly for him because um it's by major streets and other things, and we don't want to lose him in the neighborhood. Like, again, his loved ones are trusting us with his care.
Yeah,
So
and how do you bring them back to reality? Like, do you what do you what is that process like?
it's very tedious, it's very time consuming because you got to go slow, and a lot of them, it takes a lot of redirecting, and sometimes it's the same redirect in the same span of 30 seconds. Like, for example, the same resident who thinks he's in high school, I'll be like, I'm gonna name him Billy Bob Thornton. That's my favorite fake name.
Okay.
And so Billy Bob Thornton, he'd be like, "Hey, I need to go downstairs and talk to my counselor." I'm like, "Hey, Bill, I know you think that you're in high school right now, but we're actually at a nursing home, and downstairs is actually another floor full of residents. There's no one that's there for you to meet. However, if there is someone that you want to talk to, a social worker, a nurse, I can always provide that for you. But in the meantime," and me just trying to say that little speech, um, I'll probably have to stop and like restart it three different times, because then he'll be like, "No, but the guidance counselor is downstairs." And I'm like, "We're at a nursing home." He's like, "No, but I have to meet the guidance counselor." So it's like a lot of times I'll say something that straightforward and it won't even register because they're still, in case of Bill, he's stuck in high school. So me telling him he's in a nursing home, he's like, "What are you talking about?"
I also wonder like what would happen if like you took him downstairs and had like a fake guidance counselor and that guidance counselor told him something like go upstairs or something like that. Like how would that work?
I'm very curious at how that would work, but again, I feel like that depends on the resident.
Mm.
Because funny enough, I had a resident. I love the dementia floor
Mm.
because not every day is an easy day. Most days are not. Not gonna lie to you. Most days are not easy, but I love them because it as I don't know, to me, it reminds me that not to take life so serious
Mm.
because I I love my residents. Like I know it's just a job, but I really do. My superpower is my ability to love and the care that I put into everything that I do. So me just being a natural caregiver and working at a nursing home kind of like fits hand in hand. So I when I say I love my residents, I genuinely love them from as much as I can, because at the same time we still gotta have boundaries and things like that. Especially when we also lose our residents, it does hit a little harder when there is more extra love and care into it. But I had a resident today. Um, she wanted to talk to her friend, which is really just her roommate. But they've been roommates for so long that she thinks that they're best friends.
Wow.
And so today I had to do a lot of that redirecting. It was actually very difficult because her roommate didn't want was one of those it was one of those moments where she just didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to do anything. She just wanted to sit. And the main resident was trying to talk to her, and it was very difficult. And I did try to get into the delusion with her by telling her, I was like, hey, yeah, no, I get that's your friend. However, like you can see, like your friend, she's just relaxing right now. She just wants to listen to the music that we got playing. And she's like, yeah. And then she literally told me, she was like, hey, I have a question for you. Now, if you came to this facility to visit your friend, mind you, and it was so weird because she she knew she didn't know that she was in a nursing home, but she also knew that she was in a facility. It was
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, it was an interesting thing.
Uh-huh.
But she was like, if you came to visit your friend, right? And someone's telling you not to talk to your friend, how would you feel? Because I came all this way. Again, this is her roommate. It was just
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
hallway.
yeah.
Right? She's like, I came all this way to talk to my roommate. I mean, to talk to my friend, and you won't let me. I'm like, it's not that I won't let you. Let's just give your friend 10 minutes to herself and see if that'll be what she needs so she can engage with you. And again, me just trying to explain that little
Mm.
bit,
Mm.
I had to redirect her literally 5 different times. We're like, no, but your friend, like, just look at her. She wants to be by herself right now. And she's like, no, but my friend, I want to talk to her. I'm trying to talk to her. And I was just like,
Yeah, it sounds like the type of job that requires a lot of patience and compassion. And what I would also imagine working with older people is that it makes you appreciate your own life and your own youth more and being alive more, which
yeah.
brings us back to the beginning, right?
Yes, it really does. Because I actually right now I'm actually in the process of grieving one of my residents who had passed away 2 weeks ago. And
Mm.
the reason why I'm grieving that resident is because it happened out of nowhere. Like out of nowhere. Like literally I had saw him the day before,
Wow.
completely fine, nothing was wrong. And then the very next day he had passed away. And so when I showed up to work, I'm like, hey, where'd he go? They're like, uh, so working in a nursing home, when we talk about death, it's very straightforward. So they literally was like, yeah, no, girl, he died. Like they told me very straightforward. And I was just like,
How old
not
was
my
he?
he was, I want to say 80 something, 87, I want to say.
He's up there. Okay.
Yeah, he was up there. But again, like he didn't have, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor, but as
Mm.
far as I know, he didn't have any health issues outside of old age. So
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a very, very tough job because I'm sure you have to deal with death over and over and over again, which again makes us appreciate our own life more. I forget who it was, but I was watching someone just the other day and he was saying everyone should work in a nursing home at least once to appreciate life more. And to because we have this tendency to get mad at the tiniest things. And I feel like when you're constantly exposed to death, it's like it makes you, not appreciate life more and just let the tiny little things go. So you mentioned the word spiritual before. Well,
mhm.
I don't know if I'm a very spiritual person. I'm trying to learn more about being spiritual and base. So I guess the first question is, what does that mean to you? What does being spiritual mean?
So for me, I decided that being spiritual was the best path for me because I grew up in the church. I am a pastor's daughter. I'm also Caribbean. I'm Haitian. So my dad is the pastor, Black American. My
Still
mother
today?
is.
He's
Hmm?
still a pastor today?
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes. And so one side, I literally grew up as a pastor's daughter. The other side, I grew up Caribbean in the church. So no matter how you slice this bread, my childhood was literally filled with God.
mm,
But one of the things that's always had me question God more, and then not even really God as I've gotten older to learn, but more so religion and people who participate in religion, is that if God said, again, I love the child of God analogy, right? If God said that he made each and every one of us in his own image, correct?
sure.
And God also told us to love one another as we love God and ourselves because we are all brothers and sisters, children of God.
Mhm.
Okay. And if God also told us it is not our place to judge one another, because why? We are children of God, we're supposed to love each other, and God made us in his own image. Then why is it that in the church that, and also another thing, God also said in the Bible, show up as you are. Why is it that the church literally is one of the most judgmental places when that's supposed to be one of the places you're supposed to be the freest with because that's where you're supposed to meet God. And so I had such a hard time like understanding that, but I also understood that I do want to know God. I do want to love God. Like I like the way that they talk about God. I want it. I want to be a part of this. It sounds amazing. But the way that they were bringing it into and practicality, it wasn't it. So I had to find God for myself. And I learned that for me, um, being spiritual allowed me the opportunity to be myself the way that God created me to be, but then also gave me the freedom to question God. Because we were allowed to question God. Like God didn't just put us on here to just obey rules and not, you know. And so it's like spirituality gave me the question, gave me the ability to be myself, question God, and God also respond back with love and care. Okay. Not only that, but it also gave me the opportunity to connect with everybody, not just Christians, not just Mormons, not just like being spiritual really gave me the opportunity to truly understand that I like, and I tell people all the time, like, I love you. When I tell you I love you, I genuinely love you because God allowed me the opportunity to be blessed with your presence. Like, and I feel like that's an honor. Like, out of all the people in the world, God made each and every one of us. And we should be more grateful that God allows us to experience God in different facets outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
with ourselves, in addition to ourselves.
Mhm.
And I think it's just so beautiful. Like it just gives me the opportunity to see God in all of God's glory. It allows me the opportunity for God to be a man, to be
Mhm.
a woman, to be the sun, to be the birds, to be the bees, to be the trees and the grass and the leaves. Because God made it all. And that's why I love spirituality. That's at least how I found spirituality and how I developed my comfort in building a relationship with God.
Amazing story. So I actually grew up going to church too. I was dragged to church every Sunday. Hated it when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to answer your question before when you said why are people in church so judgmental? Because that's actually one reason why I stopped going to church. And I have two answers to that. Number one, because people in church are constantly focused on sin, like they're constantly labeling people as sinners one way or another. You know, they're so focused on sin, sin, sin. And the people, I feel like religious people, people in church are often they tend to label people as sinners very, very, very fast. I also think that there's an expectation bias, meaning that if someone is constantly saying judging is wrong, judging is wrong, judging is wrong, we expect them not to judge. So there's an expectation bias. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. And I think that's so ridiculous. I
So
think it's so ridiculous
yeah,
because
go ahead, go ahead.
because at the end of the day, it's like you're right. Like God made us all sinners. So why are like, and that's just the one thing too is I don't understand is like, why can't we just accept us for all the sinners that God made us? Like you sin differently than I sin. Like the person next to us in church sin differently than but
Well, I have
that's
an
why
answer
God
to
still
that.
loves us.
I have an answer to that.
Mhm.
I think that judging can be a defense mechanism. So, for
Mm.
example, like let's just say I judge someone as an asshole or as a cheater or as manipulative or as a narcissist. Now I know to avoid them. So it kind of like
Mm.
it's a it's a it protects it's protecting me. You know what I'm saying? Judging
Yeah.
protects us sometimes. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's always wrong. I think it's wrong if we judge too much, but I also think that it can be very protective. What do you think?
I So I've never thought about judging as protective, so I'm definitely gonna have to sit with that and I'll see how my spirit and my mind because I'm like that just that's I can actually see how that works because as someone who I'm not gonna say I pride myself on not judging because at the end of the day I'm human. Like I judge unconsciously, but as someone who works hard on accepting people as they are for who they are, um, I've like I said, I've never thought about judging as protection because I felt like in my mind, once I judge you, to me, judging means that you're less than in some kind of way because when you are judged against, you're guilty for something. Like, like you did something and now there has to be consequences.
Mm.
So it's just like, and in terms of people, it's just like a lot of people just are themselves. And now they have to deal with the negative, like, and just being, and I'm not talking about like people who are assholes or intentionally like fucked up and shit like that. I'm just talking about like the average human being who's just trying to do their best,
Mm.
you know? And as the average human being who's trying to do the best, they're gonna make mistakes consciously, unconsciously, and unintentionally, you know? Sometimes it's one of those things where it's just like impact versus intention, you know? And so it's just like because of all those things that I thought about, I've never thought about it as protection because it's like I've always wanted to give people that freedom to just be
Mhm.
without having to worry about, oh, she thinks I'm wrong or she thinks I'm this because I made a mistake.
Right. Well, think about it this way, right? If you met someone who was a narcissist, who was constantly talking down to others, and who maybe even who was a cheater, let's say, there would be a part of you that kind of like that kind of judged them, and that's okay. Like I think that's perfectly fine because it protects you. It motivates you to walk away from them.
Absolutely. I want to say absolutely, but I'm also I'm working on my people pleasing tendencies. So as you were saying that, my brain was like, but we don't know what they were going through for them to be a narcissist. I'm working on it.
No,
I'm
it's
working on
true.
my
I mean,
working on it.
it is true that that something made them that way.
But
That
that
is,
doesn't justify it though.
yes,
That's the
right,
thing that we need to
right.
understand. Just because you went through something that does not justify your bad behavior.
And you're still allowed to walk away, even if they, let's just say, had a messed up childhood. You're still allowed to walk away from that situation.
And
And
that's important to know. And that's something that I didn't I know I needed to hear. So I do appreciate you telling me that. Because I very much my friends call me Captain Sabo.
mm, you're too nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, this kind of reminds me of your books, which I definitely wanted to talk about because, we talked a little bit about it, and this whole concept reminds me of your book. So let's talk about your books. You told us the names. Tell us what
Okay.
they're about.
Okay, so the first one is Soul Secrets. This was an accidental publish because Soul Secrets really is, to put it bluntly, to me, it feels like I published my diary for the world to read
Mm.
because right before the pandemic, like around 2018 is when I really got into my writing because I had prior like 2018 was I had gotten sexually assaulted 3 different times. 2018 was the last time I got sexually
By the
assaulted,
same
but
person?
no, by different people. So um I had got sexually assaulted once when I was a child. And then I had gotten sexually assaulted again by an ex of mine when I was in college. And then I had gotten sexually assaulted again in 2018 by a friend of mine when I had an internship upstate. It was it was a wild time. I'm getting into the habit of saying it's I used to say it's okay, even though it's not okay. So now I'm just saying it's a wild time because I'm still trying to navigate how to express that while also giving myself the grace and the compassion that I deserve from the experience that I went through. And so for me, in 2018, after I had gotten assaulted, I literally felt separated from my spirit. Like it was, I had a body and then my soul was just navigating in the world.
Wow.
And I literally did not know what to do. And I had instinctually just found myself writing. Like I was trying to find myself. So I literally just put it out on paper. I just wrote, and it all ended up being poems. And I ended up sharing some of my poems with an ex of mine at the time. And he was like, oh my God, this is so good. This is, mind you, I had explained, like, he had knew my whole story, that like this whole thing. So and he was also someone who writes stories secretly on the side. So when he told me like it was so good, and then he asked for permission to share with other people, and they're like, "Oh my God!" Like first, I had to get over the initial, "Oh my God, Brittany, are you okay?" But
Mhm.
then once I got over that part, and I got to the part where people were like, "Oh my God, this is so good! It's so inspirational. This is like and I had literally in the span of 6 months, several people tell me, like, I need to put this in a book. I need to publish it. I was like, okay, God, like, should I do it? And then I remember I was in the shower and the sun beamed on me. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna publish the book. Oh, I'm gonna publish it. And so I published it. And the intention that I set for my book is that whoever needs to find my book will find it, because yeah, for me, I did publish my diary, but I've realized that my book, me being the person, and my book is a literal example of you don't have to look like what you go through, you don't have to be what you go through. And at the end of the day, that as long as you're willing to face what you went through, there will always be sunshine on the other side of that mountain. Okay, always. The sun will be brighter, the air will be fresher, that rainbow will be brighter than you ever thought, that grass greener, that water fresher. Okay, pristine. Okay, fresher than you drinking a cold glass of water with a fresh piece of gum in your mouth. You know how minty that is? Real cool, right? Yes. And so that's basically the intentions that I set, because I know growing up and having conversations with a handful of people, my peers, because at the time they were always my peers, that this was not something that I was the only one who was going through. And I feel like that's also what pushed me. Well, that was one of the things that pushed me, but then too, Jill Scott also around that same time was during the verses, and
Mhm.
she said something along the lines of, she was like, when you write something, once you put it on paper, it no longer belongs to you and it now belongs to the world. And basically, in my mind, I was like, damn, you're right. I would basically I'd be a disservice and a dishonor to God if I don't share this word, this art that God put on my heart, because I'm just a vessel. Like God just chose me to bring this into the world. And if I don't do it, God's gonna pick somebody else. So let me honor him and be a literal living example and an inspiration to people who have been sexually assaulted, to people who have been molested and all these other things. Even if you weren't going through those things, but you've gotten your heart broken and you've gone through situations where your boundaries were disrespected, even if it is by you, that at the end of the day, you don't have to stay there.
Yep.
You never have to stay there. You only stay there if you choose to stay there. But at the end of the day, that's the most important thing in life is choice. We always have the choice.
Yes, we definitely have the choice. I'm trying to figure out how you are still such a positive and encouraging person even after all the bullshit that you went through. Like, how do you stay so positive?
Transparently, because I have tried self-harm warning. This is the trigger warning. I have tried to commit suicide a couple different times.
Mhm.
And the last time that I did it, um, it was very cut and clear that I was supposed to be here. And so I stopped taking my job, my role as a vessel for God, as a messenger, as an inspiration lightly. And I started taking it very seriously. And I can't inspire people if I'm not a living example of it. And it's not easy. It's always easier said than done. But at the end of the day, it is always worth it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, because I've been through less than you, and even I am not as positive as you. So I'm trying to figure out like how, because you come across as such a courteous and compassionate person, and even it's always so surprising to me when someone who's been through a lot still comes out so compassionate on the other side. That's so beautiful, and it's so rare. It's so rare and so difficult, and I definitely absolutely give you credit for that. I wanted to talk about trust because I'm assuming that they were men that you trusted at one point.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, how did those experiences affect your trust for people and for men?
Um, my trust with people is very seesawy because it's like I want to trust and all these things, and then at the same time I'm like, but wait, hold on. But I think that's also where pattern recognition comes in handy because if a certain type of person acts a certain way, then people who also do those things will have similar behaviors or similar patterns. So I've been working on pattern recognition, but it's also been kind of difficult because I also know that people also put up a front. So I I like to give people I like to let people show me who they are.
Hmm.
I will show up as myself authentically. You get me the full 100%. And as I continue to get to know you, that'll have me figure out. Now, I'm not going to say which version of myself to give you, but that'll let me know how much of myself to give. Because I've learned that the most important thing, yes, it is important to love others, but you cannot love someone else, one, more than you love yourself. And two, you cannot, the way that you love others is honestly only a reflection of the way that you love yourself.
That's interesting. I've heard expand on that.
So for me, I've noticed how true that is. Like I've noticed that my level of grace and compassion, my level of love that I give to other people, I've actually noticed that I love a lot more. For me, my I like to look at my relationship with other people, my the care that I've given to other people, to let me know where I'm at with myself and to make sure that it's even. Because I know that I have people pleasing tendencies. I also have noticed that I will also self-sacrifice myself a lot at the expense of others for love. And so I've noticed that if I really do love others and I really do love myself the way that I claim, then I would not put myself in harm's way. I would not say yes to the things I really want to say no to and say no to the things that I feel guilt like and giving no's about things that I don't really want to give no's about, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, all for the sake of somebody else. Like if they love me, they're not going to want me to do that. And if I love me, why would I want to do that for someone else? Not to say that, not to like I wouldn't want to, but it's like if I really do love me the way that I say that I love me, why would I put myself in a position to show someone else how much I love them? They should already know that, especially if that love is literally to my own detriment, to my own expense. It's not like it's uplifting me or the other person. It's just an act of love that's more harmful. So is it really an act of love? Or is it an act of people pleasing?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the people pleasing because this is really important. Where did your people pleasing come from? Where did that mentality of I must please people, where's the root? Where did it come from?
My childhood. I'm actually very grateful for this question because I've been trying to unpack that a lot, my childhood. So my parents weren't together growing up. Like it was, I had my mom, I had my dad, and so I was always in the middle. So the people pleasing came from doing what I need to do to keep my mom happy, but then doing what I need to do to keep my dad happy, and that wasn't always necessarily the best thing because a lot of the times I would get put in the middle. Like, and it's one of the reasons why even now I have a hard time making a decision is because I'm like, my mom, as a kid, my mom would come to me like, hey, Brittany, and my dad would like, hey, I'm just like, like the biggest one was as a kid, what they would used to ask me, and there's nothing wrong with the question, but at the same time, that's a very big question to ask a kid was, who do you want to live with? Like I get it. As a kid, it is important for them to speak up and to tell you who they want to live with. But as a child who loves both of my parents equally, there is no right answer. And for me, I had given an answer once. I can't even say I gave an answer.
You
When
forced an
I,
answer?
yeah, so no, actually, what happened was my dad was in the military and he was stationed in Puerto Rico. And I used to spend the summers and holidays with my dad and the school year with my mom. But
Okay.
as a kid, I'm like, my dad's in Puerto Rico. My dad lives on an island. And I was like, hey, I want to live with my dad. Like, I want to live in Puerto Rico with my dad. That was it. And my
For Puerto
mom,
Rico or for your dad?
I wanted to live in, I love my dad. I
Yeah.
was not staying in Puerto Rico for him. I was staying for the,
Okay, okay.
because in my mind, I'm like Puerto Rico. First of all, my birthday's in January.
Mhm.
In my mind, I was like, does that mean I get to have a pool party? I think I was turning 12 that year, like 12 or 13.
Mhm.
So in my little kid mind, I'm like, I get to have a pool party
Mhm.
in January. That's why I wanted to stay in Puerto Rico. And my mom took it as me picking my dad over her. And so because she took it like that, my mom had changed how she operated with me a little bit, which then triggered more of a people pleasing tendency because now I felt like I had to fix a mistake. But it wasn't. I'm realizing now as an adult, choosing to live with my dad, even if it was a choice to live with my dad and not about the island, that's not a
Of
mistake.
course not. It's a lose-lose situation. No matter what, you're hurting someone's feelings.
Yeah, so that's where the people pleasing came from. It's because I was trying to figure out how to make both my parents
Were
happy
they hard on you?
in different ways. In different ways. My dad was very big on education and discipline, and my mom was I'm Caribbean, so my mom was very big on respect. And um, I'm not gonna say I don't want to say image, but it's just like when you're not as a non-American, the way that we present ourselves is very important, especially as a foreigner.
Mhm.
So my mom was very big on respect and making sure that I had presented myself properly as a first generation foreigner.
I'm just trying. I have something to say. I'm just trying to figure out how to say it. You don't come across as a very angry person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I work on that.
Are you an angry person?
I'm yes and no. I wouldn't say I'm an angry person, but I have noticed that when I am feeling emotional, anger is my first emotion. But I've learned that anger only shows up as a way to protect myself because I don't normally protect myself. So my angry side has to like, like how we have those different version parts of ourselves. So that part of myself always shows up when when I have not stuck to a boundary or when I had let someone walk over me or whatever the case may be. But then usually when I take the time to sit and talk to my anger, it's usually something like disrespect. I feel like my boundaries are broken. Like it's never actually anger. It's just showing up as anger.
So what is that actually?
It depends on what it is. I think the last time I got angry, it was because I think it was either my boundaries or it was because actually and that's something that I have to like I have the emotion wheel chart on my phone. So that
Mhm.
way when I feel angry, because I literally only use it for anger, because I'll look at angry and then I'll look at the little mini subcategories to figure out. It was dejected.
Rejected?
Dejected. That was what made me angry last time. Was I felt like I was having a conversation with someone and I was trying to say something and their response made me want to eject myself. What shut down? That's why I got angry because I didn't feel like I was being heard, so I shut down.
Um, yeah, so you actually touched on what I was gonna say, which is that anger helps set boundaries. What I think the biggest difference between me now and me, let's say 10 or even 5 years ago, is I really don't look at negative emotions as negative emotions anymore because I realize that emotions are very, very helpful. So, for example, anger really, really helps set boundaries, which you said, which I was going to say. It helps us say no. Anger is really, really good at helping us to say no. And I'm wondering, do you have any anger towards your parents?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's actually really bad. And it's very unintentional. And I realized I'm actually in the process. I'm in the process of trying to unpack as much as I can. I'm in my 30s and I do want to. My parents are getting older. I'm getting older, and I know that it's going to be my responsibility to keep an eye on my parents. Like I can already see the old age affecting them, and I want to make sure that I give them the best care. I work in a nursing home, so I want to make sure I give them the best care that I can, and I want to make sure that when they get to that old age, I don't have any kind of resentment in my heart for my childhood, because one thing that I've had to quickly learn and understand even before I became a mother, but once I became a mother, it really fully made sense, like in a different kind of way. But
Mhm.
I definitely, it makes it easy for me to give my parents grace and compassion, and it makes it easy for me to remove some of that anger. Sometimes
Mhm.
is I have to remember that I know my parents love me. And because I know that they love me and they will never intentionally do anything to harm me, like I'm one of those people where I've lucked out. Like I know my parents love me and they really do genuinely have not done anything to harm me. And so the only reason why I ended up getting harmed was because my parents did the best they could with what they knew and with what they had.
Yep. Yep.
I can't, yes, it is easy for me to be mad at them for the past, but that's not fair because the information that we all have now, we didn't have that 15 years ago. The resources we have now, we didn't have that 15 years ago. So it would be a disservice to all of us and the future relationship that I've been praying on for me to hold on to that. So I have to do the self work to forgive them. And forgiveness is not easy. And I'm constantly reminded that forgiveness, honestly, is not even like in the terms of forgiving my parents. Forgiveness is not even really about them. The forgiveness is really for me, so that way I can have more peace in my heart. So that way I can continue to be the example that I am very proud that God chose me to be. To be, like I said, I came in here saying that my superpower is my ability to love, because I've learned that, like, despite everything that I've gone through, my heart shines bigger and brighter than my smile.
Do you know the Nelson Mandela quote about anger, about forgiveness?
No.
So he said, holding on to resentment for someone else is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yes, I have heard. I didn't know Nelson Mandela was the one who came up with that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
heard it.
So, I think a lot about anger because I have some anger in me myself. And I agree with most of what you said. I think that obviously nobody wants to go to bed angry at night. It is healthier to not be angry. But there's this other part of me that knows that anger is good to a certain extent and that it can be helpful and that it actually I would say that it is fair to be angry towards someone who hurts you, especially in the past. But not that I'm encouraging it, but I think that it's fair. I think that when people have anger towards their parents or towards someone who hurt them, I think that it's fair, and I think that we should only forgive when we're ready to forgive. We shouldn't judge ourselves for being angry. Um, I actually heard a really, really good quote about anger from this man, psychiatrist named Dr. K, the other day. He said, "The right amount of anger is anger we feel when the ego is dormant." I really
Ooh.
like that quote. I really like that quote. So I'm that even I just heard that quote, so I'm still processing it. But yeah, I like that quote a lot.
I like it a lot too because our anger will get us fucked up. I'm not our anger, our ego.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
ego will get us, will put us into terrible situations, which then also gives us another reason to be like it just. So I actually really like that a lot. I'm definitely gonna be sitting with that for a while too. Because then when your ego's not around, it really gives you an opportunity to like see what's up for real.
Yes, yes, it clears your vision, and that you can still be angry when their ego is dormant, when the ego is absent. There still is anger, and I would say that that is the healthy anger because
Yeah,
healthy anger, like it's healthy to be angry when someone hurts you or when someone takes advantage of you. It's healthy, like, because back to what I was saying before, it helps you say no. It motivates you to set boundaries. Um,
absolutely.
so you told us about your first book. Let's talk about your second book.
Yes, this is the one I'm actually most proud of. I should be most proud of this one because I feel like this is going to have a bigger impact on the world, like
Uh,
just in general.
uh,
But this is the one that I'm most proud of because, okay, so I'm going to read you the back, right? The
yeah.
back says, an ode to creativity, a tribute to artists and artistry. These are a couple of different ways to say the same thing. It's time to honor self expression through art with its many different mediums. Art is subjective, while creation is the objective.
Mm.
Art is a muse, so let art inspire. The album was born to be an inspiration for your own creation. And so basically, this whole book, honestly, is an honor and a tribute to God and allowing God for me to be a flat out creative, like in a very literal term, like I make art. I'm a poet, you know? So for me personally, as the artist behind it, that was my honor to God. But in the way that I did it, I was like, if I want to, I feel like one of the most authentic ways to honor God is yes, I made the book for God and to show God like I'm proud, but then also to, like I said, let art inspire. So I also created it in such a way where, for example,
It looks like a pretty short book.
it is right. So this is actually one of my favorite poems. This one's called Black Butterfly. It's this way. Right? So this is called Black Butterfly, and this is the picture that's attached to it. And so one of the
Did you
things
draw
that
that? Did you paint that?
I did not, I actually hired a bunch of different artists
Wow.
to create their own art. So literally I gave each of the artists different poems. So none of the only one poem every single artist had to share was the poem called Lost Art. And the picture that got chosen was this one to go with it. But every artist had to do lost art and they all got two poems, different poems, and they had to create an art that was inspired by my poems.
Hmm.
Because I wanted, as children of God, as a collective, I wanted to one, allow others to honor their own creativity, but then also show them that being an artist has, again, it has many different mediums. And w- no one medium is better than another. The only difference between the mediums is that it's just a different avenue, a different lane to honor God, to honor the biggest, the greatest creator of all time, the one who created everything, the world, who created you and me, who created the vision in us to create to begin with. So that's really what it is. And I'm most proud of it because it is an album. It's more than just poems and pictures that I put together in a book. I actually also created a musical, like me and a producer sat down
Wow.
and we made beats
Wow.
inspired by this because now that the book is out, my next step is to now I want to get musicians
Hmm.
and I want them to see the art and to see the poems and I want them to create and hear the beats, and I want them to make their own song inspired by all of it.
Where do you find the musicians?
Um, I'm I'm just gonna let God bring them to me. I One thing that I've learned as an artist is the most important thing is yes, it's important yes, it is important to have the vision, but it is also important to create it, but it's also equally as important to let that creation grow and develop into its own thing. Because when I first, if 5 years ago, when I first had this idea, excuse me, 4 years ago, my book is 5 years early. um, 4 years ago, when I first started this, it was, I was only going to hire artists that I knew personally, and it
Okay.
was going to be musicians that I knew personally. And all the artists in that, I don't know. I met them all on social media. Like I've never met them in person at all. And so when it comes to the music portion, I'm just gonna see who like the intention is to let artists who want to honor God and honor their ability to be creatives do that. So I don't know yet. I'm along for the journey. I'm
Well,
along for
the reason why I asked because I know this really really cool website called soundbetter.com. It's
okay.
it's this website where you can basically rent musicians, you pay them, whether it's a singer, whether it's a beat maker, whether it's a producer, you pay them a small amount. They all charge different amounts. The ones that are more in demand charge more, and the one who are less in demand charge less. But it's called soundbetter.com. I'm gonna send you the link later, and it's a
Thank you. I
really really good
appreciate that.
website. It's really,
Thank
really good for finding musicians. Um, I wanted to go back to your book because you mentioned God a lot, and I'm gonna ask you a question that a lot of people are asking nowadays, which is how do you know that God exists?
God's I have too many examples. I my me being here today, having this conversation on Zoom is a literal example of God existing.
I
So
didn't
I
have to be your Uber driver, right?
Yeah, no,
Even someone
literally.
else.
That's literally another example. I was not gonna share this story. Because it is, like I said, it's a trigger warning, and not everyone can handle it. But the last time I tried to commit suicide, um, God, when I say I should not be here, I should not be here. So my mom and I had gotten into an argument. And this is where, my anger comes in and the resentment and all that. So it was one of those moments where I was triggered and my mother had triggered some of those emotions in me.
Mhm.
And it was not just those emotions. My mom had triggered the worst of the emotions in me. Like it triggered back to my old, terrible self mentality. And so it got so bad that I felt like I didn't need to be here. I'm like, literally in my head, I'm like, if my mom don't fuck with me, if my mom don't want me here, then why am I here? Like I could just I could just go. And so that's literally what I did. My mom was driving me back to Brooklyn and I jumped out of her car
Wow.
on the highway.
BQE?
No, like the Southern State.
Wow.
And what saved my life is I tripped. I tripped out the car.
How fast was the car going?
I don't know. We were on the Southern State. It
Wow.
was going. It was
Oh,
going.
well,
And
you tripped and then you fell on the concrete.
yeah,
And then wow, did you get seriously injured? What happened?
no. My face was like this. The worst thing that happened was that my body was tired. Like it was one of those things where like I had felt like I was up for like, okay, Batty, give me a second. I'm in a Zoom meeting. I got you. I see you, Batty. Um, but yeah, like I had felt like I had when I had jumped out the car and I was running on adrenaline. I jumped out the car, I was running on adrenaline for hours. And the first moment that I sat down, I felt like I was up for like 5 days straight, living off of like energy drinks. Cause like the moment I crashed, I felt everything. My body was sore. Like it was just sore. And I was just mentally, emotionally, and spiritually just tired. But I also learned that day, that was the lesson that I learned that my life does not belong to me. It really does belong to God. Because if I wasn't supposed to be here, I would have just died on the highway.
Mhm.
But two, that because I am supposed to be here, No one should have the power over my mind, over my heart, over my spirit to convince me that I do not deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be here. God will take me out himself. Till then, I have things that I gotta accomplish because I made a promise to God. Like, so the relationship that I have with God is we do things in threes. So that was also the third time I tried to commit myself. I tried to unalive myself. We'll just go with that one. That was the third time I tried, and so that was when I realized, like, okay, God, like the first time I was 13. I was like, okay. The second time, I was like in my 20s. But by the third time, I was like, okay, God, like I know the conversations, I know our rule three. All right, let me just tough it out. And I'm not gonna hold you for the first 2 years of toughing it out because God said so. It was really hard. And then I had to, and I appreciate God so much because in them 2 years that I was toughing it out, I've had a lot of people literally call me an earth angel. They're like, "Oh my God, I don't know what I would do if you weren't here. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for the like." And it was in those 2 years where I was just like, I'm gonna tough it out. And then I started to really understand and realize the impact that I have on people outside of my family and friends that I realized like, oh, I'm really supposed to be here and I'm really supposed to impact and I really am supposed to be the change I want to see. Like God didn't just make me like this just because. Like I can't change the world if I don't experience what the world has been through. Like, what is it like? And that's how God made it make sense to me. Like, how does it look like if I'm someone who's constantly was trying to help someone, constantly trying to give advice? What does it look like if I've never been through it? I'm giving you advice from shoes I've never worn. I'm giving you advice from a pedestal, not from the trenches. It's easier for people to take me serious and for people to take my advice or at least to hear where I'm coming from when they hear my story. Like, oh, you're not just saying this because it sounds nice or because it sounds cool. You're saying this because it literally saved your life. Yes. Yes, it did.
So is that why you think God allows suffering? Why do you think God allows suffering?
That's a good question that I do ask. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's because I look at the babies and I'm like,
Why?
yeah, like the babies, they are the most innocent.
100% innocent.
They are in my mind, they are the closest thing to God in their innocence, in their purity, and love.
That's an interesting perspective. Babies are the closest thing to God. That's a very interesting perspective.
Thank you. Because the reason why I feel that way is because they haven't been tarnished by
They're
the
100%
world.
innocent.
Yeah, like
100%.
they haven't been tarnished by and like as a mom with a 2 year old, like it's a literal I love it. Like there's been like and I love my daughter so much because she's literally teaching me this. Like there's been times where I'll get mad and I'll get frustrated with her. And then in the midst of my frustration, she'll go, 5. Sorry, that's her little voice, but she'll go 5, 5. And she's literally asking me to give her a high five.
Mhm.
And I've personally started to use those moments as check-ins, like, oh, mommy's angry, let mommy calm down. Mommy's a little too angry. Or mommy is, and I appreciate it because her just asking for a 5, I've noticed that's just her innocent way of getting over it. Like, mommy was just mad and yelling at me 5 seconds ago. But now I want to give her a high five, a kiss, and I just want to cuddle. And it's just like, that's an adult. We don't do that. Like, oh, you made me angry. I'm going to stay mad for like however long until I forget the reason. Not a kid. Oh, you told me I couldn't have juice. Okay. Can we watch a movie together? Can we cuddle? I want some chips.
They're
So I,
innocent. Have
yeah.
you ever heard the song While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles?
No, I have not, but I'm definitely going to check it out.
So, do you have to go? Or
No, I was actually looking for a pen so I can
no,
write it down.
I'm gonna send you all this after. Don't worry.
Okay, 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 okay.
But in the very, very last verse, George Harrison says, I don't know why you were diverted, you were perverted to. And that, that makes me think about like just the way that the world perverts us and the way that babies are 100%. We all start off as so innocent and so pure and so sinless, and then the world perverts us over time. And that I've never heard that saying that babies are the closest things to God. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. That's a very, very insightful thing to say, I think.
You. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So what about I have one question left. Let's talk about confidence. Would you consider yourself a confident person?
No, actually, no, I've been working on it. I have been working on it. I've I have noticed that I do naturally have this aura of confidence that I give off.
Yes, yes.
I love it
Uh-huh.
because I'm not transparently I'm not that confident. Like I'm turning 30 because I'm now 30, turning 30. I've been forcing myself to tell myself I deserve good things. I'm that bitch. I'm that nigga. Because at the end of the day, one thing that I've been trying to teach my little sister who's 13 is at the end of the day, if you don't love yourself, it's gonna be harder for one, you to love other people, but then two, for other people to love you. Because if you don't fuck with you, then you're gonna make it hard for other people who want to fuck with you to fuck with you because you're
Yep.
gonna unintentionally make it hard for them.
Yep.
So I've been working on my confidence because why not? I'm an earth angel. I'm naturally a good person, instinctually a good person. So why should I not have the confidence to back it up?
Yeah, I think that someone who has been through as much as you have and who has survived as much as you have and still comes out such a positive and compassionate and inspiring person has every single right to be a confident person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I am taking that to heart because like I said, I am actively working on my confidence. And so my initial when you initially said that, I was like, but I've been getting into the habit of saying, no, you were right. And I'm just going to sit in that uncomfortableness.
Accept the compliment.
Yeah,
Accept the
exactly. I'm going to
compliment.
sit in it until it no longer feels uncomfortable because I've realized that like, especially with things like compliments and like people praising me for just being me, it's very uncomfortable. So in order to get used to it, I gotta learn how to sit with the uncomfortableness, and then eventually it won't be uncomfortable, and eventually, be like, yeah, thank you, and I can actually receive it the way that I look like I'm receiving it.
Yes, because you do come across as very confident, very charismatic, a lot of personality. You do come across as a very confident person. That was my first impression of you. So, I kind of ran out of questions. Is there anything else you want to say or ask?
Um, there's only one thing I want to say, and this has been on my mind since I met you, and I just want to say thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for doing what you do because these conversations are important. They are, and I don't, I'm not sure how many people are having these conversations or sharing these
Not
conversations.
enough.
Exactly, not enough. And so I want to say thank you for doing your part because as a collective, we are to me, we are all God's children, right? So we're all siblings. So as my fellow, okay, brother, thank you for helping look out for the rest of our siblings.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we all gotta do our part.
Just, it was absolutely my pleasure. And just for the people listening, we actually met through Uber because I'm an Uber driver. I picked you up. I remember where, but I'm not going to say where.
Yeah.
In Suffolk County, and it was just like 3 weeks ago. Then we exchanged Instagrams, and I guess that's proof that God exists, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is. God, here's the thing too. If you need another example of God existing, if God wants to find you, he will. If God wants to give you a blessing, he will. Think about any other time where you've been down, and I literally tell people this all the time. Think about any time you have been down, out on your luck, and you did not know how you was gonna get through. You was gonna get that lunch, get that whatever it was, get that job, get that bill paid. You ain't seen no way, but somehow, some way, something shook from the tree and ant crawled out a hole with a little bit of that's your proof right there. Okay, that is your proof. God will, yes, we gotta, I'm not gonna say we have to, I don't know if we have to suffer. I'm still navigating that part. But I will say that when we really need God, at least from the life that I've lived with God, when I really needed God and those around me who really needed God, God has not failed. He may have taken his time according to us, but God, from what I've seen, always works in divine timing. And sometimes also a rejection is just redirection. Because I also want to remind people as well. I don't know how many times we thought we wanted something, we
Yep.
didn't get it, and got something better that was actually for us. That is also God protecting us from the things that we don't need.
Yep. That's happened to me many, many, many times. And I think it's a lot easier for people, for older people to understand this than for like teenagers or people in their 20s, because it takes life experience to learn that number one, there are many, many, many times when we think we want something and actually don't. And number two, no matter what happens, you eventually get through it. Somehow, some way, you eventually get through it, and often always stronger. And whatever you went through, it will make you appreciate the opposite more. Just
Yes.
like what did 50 Cent say? Sunny days wouldn't be good if it weren't for rain. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it weren't for pain. I think about that all the time,
Yes.
all the time.
I actually love that. For me, I think about a roller coaster. Like you can't really enjoy the high of a roller coaster unless you're down first. You got to get down and you got to do that nice ascent up. And when you hit up, you get the view, you get the breeze in your hair, and then you get to enjoy the ride down to do it again. So,
Yeah, it's like an elevator too. You have to go down to come up. You can't
hmm
come up if you're already up. You have to come down to come up. But
hmm
we'll save that for a part two. But
Yes, absolutely. And if we definitely want to do this again, I'm all for it. 'Cause I actually really, I know I mentioned God a lot, but that's because God really is right now in my life. God is an important staple for me. But I really do love, for me, I love talking about mental health because I have ADHD. I'm not gonna say suffer through, but I've had to carry myself through a lot of things in mental health. And like I said, these conversations are important. And yeah, they need to be had. So if
yeah,
you
I definitely want to talk about ADHD. So we'll save that for the next topic because I definitely want to talk about
absolutely,
that. Thanks a lot, Wildcard.
absolutely,
I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Have a good night.
You as well.
Good night.